Amy Life. So today we have our weekly Q&A, and as you guys can see, we have a special guest today. This is Andrea. She's a high school student. Would you like to just say a fun fact about yourself? Sorry, I put you on the
Um,
spot.
it's okay. Fun fact, I am actually 5'10", so
Wow, that's awesome. I'm sure that's very tall where you are right now, right? Like I know,
yes.
being in the valley, it's mostly like 5'3", 5'2", maybe. So yeah, no. Awesome. Well, we're happy to have Andrea here. She and her team reached out to us because they're in high school, they're juniors, and they want to ask some questions about biomedical engineering. So we're here to answer them. So if you'd like to go ahead and ask your first question, I'd be glad to answer.
Okay. Why did you choose biomedical engineering?
Okay. So that's a I think there's a long answer to it, and it's honestly kind of a hard question because I didn't really hear about biomedical engineering until probably my first or second year of college. But I was always very interested in science and math. I really enjoyed math specifically, and I originally wanted to do or pursue a math major. But then in my first pre-calculus class in college, I realized that I liked math, but I didn't want to do math only. So that's why I started, thinking about engineering. And I guess back then I also didn't really know what engineering meant. Like I felt like engineering was just a guy fixing a car or just everything about cars, and I just didn't really see myself doing that. But then when I started learning about engineering, I realized that it's really mostly about designing and solving problems, and I thought it was really cool. So that's when I opened up my door to engineering. But then for biomedical engineering specifically, it really was, just learning about the field existing. And I always really enjoyed like learning about biology and medicine. My both of my parents are doctors, so I was always, exposed to like the medical field. And yeah, I just chose to give it a try. And I always say this, that I went in blind. Like I didn't know what to expect, but I absolutely love it. And yeah, I love where all the things I've learned and all the things I now know that I can do with it. So yeah, that's how I got into biomedical engineering.
Okay, that is very interesting. Um, I guess my next question would be, what type of math do you use? Because you said that that math was part of bio engineering.
Yeah. So when it comes to like in college, like as a degree in the curriculum, I took up to calculus 3 when it comes to like the math. It was only required like they only required up to calculus 2, but then calculus 3 was an elective. So I took it because I actually heard that it was easier than calculus 2. So anyway, the point is that I took up to calculus 3. Then there's also a class called engineering analysis, which is a mixture of linear algebra and differential equations. But that's really all the math classes I actually took in college. Other than that, it was like more going to the physics side, like statistics. Di- Wait, no, sorry, not statistics, statics, dynamics. I did also take statistics, um, both physics and things like that. But when it comes to like my actual job right now, to be honest, like I don't really use that much math. And if I do, it's like very simple. I do sometimes, maybe once did an integral at work, but to be honest, it's usually just like multiplying or using Excel and uh, formulas and things like that. But yeah, I don't really use that much math in at my current job. But that's not to say that other people don't. Like I'm sure other biomedical engineers, depending on their kind of position, maybe would use more math than I do. But yeah.
Okay, my next question is what is your favorite part of being a biomedical engineer?
Yeah, my favorite part honestly is like knowing that all this knowledge and things that we do at the end of the day is going to benefit the life and just like the health and just improving the health of someone. You know, like when you're, I mean, I don't want to like diss other engineerings, but like it's just very, very cool to know that what you're working on will eventually always lead to someone being like benefited and just helping someone improve their life and their health. And I actually heard this recently, and I just kind of kept it in my head. I heard someone say that, you know, when you're a doctor, you can help like one patient at a time. But when you're a biomedical engineer, really like the products or pharmaceuticals or whatever you work on will end up helping like millions of lives. So I think that's really cool to do something that's actually going to help someone. So yeah.
That's actually why I was interested in picking this
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
I thought it
no.
was really interesting that you could help a lot of people.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, no,
um,
it's definitely
my
rewarding.
next question, mhm. The next question is, what university did you get your degree from, and how long did it take?
So my biomedical engineering degree is from the University of Texas at San Antonio, UTSA, but I actually transferred from UTRGV, which is in Brownsville. So when I was in Brownsville, I was there for 2 years. And then like I mentioned in the beginning, I was undecided. So I actually like took like almost 2 years of completely like general courses, like, you know, English, Comp 1, Comp 2, government, history, all this like core curriculum. So that even though it was a good decision because I didn't know what I wanted to major in, um, at the end of the day, it kind of pushed me back. So it ended up taking me 5 years to complete my degree, but it definitely can be a 4 year degree, especially if you know what you're doing from the beginning. You know, but for me, personally, because I didn't know, it did take me 5 years.
Okay. What would you say is the hardest part of being a biomedical engineer?
Yeah, the hardest part, well, when you're in school, it's honestly pretty challenging because you're not only learning about engineering, you're like splitting your mind and also learning about biology and just like, yeah, like biology related fields. Um, but I think it's a really good combination regardless. But now, as a professional, but even as a student, I feel like the hardest part of being a BME is that it's a new field. So, for one, there's not that many resources out there to learn about it. Also, I feel like a lot of people don't understand what it is. So, that also comes with people maybe sometimes having assumptions or maybe not recognizing your degree and thinking that it's not a good degree and things like that. I've definitely heard a lot of comments from people. A lot of people are concerned because they hear around that biomedical engineering is not great, that it doesn't pay well, that there's not that many jobs. But I want to say that that's not true. I mean, for everything, you have to work hard and, you know, put dedication into it. But if you want to do it, you can do it. And I think it's a very rewarding career. So, yeah, I think the hardest part is just, you know, because it is a new field, like a lot of people don't know much about it, so there's all these like conspiracy theories about BME. But no, I think yeah, that's probably the hardest part. But it's kind of more like a, I don't know, like a sentimental thing more than a technical. Yeah.
What is your specialty in biomedical engineering?
So there's kind of like two answers to that because in my degree for my school, there were three specialties that you could graduate with. And mine was specifically, I graduated with, it's called like biomaterials, cell, and tissue engineering. So it's kind of like really three fields. But to be completely honest, my job right now is in the medical device industry, which has nothing to do with any of those. So I would honestly say my real specialty is medical devices because I definitely know more about the medical device industry and the world of the medical device industry and just like about different companies, different positions, and then just things you could expect to do in that specific industry. But yeah, I would say that's my specialty, medical devices, even though I've only been here for like like a year and a half ish. So yeah.
How many hours is a typical workday?
So I would say is it's just like 8 hours, but I actually right now only work part time. So it's actually different for me. But I was full time for a while, which was 40 hours per week. But because of the coronavirus, my full time position was actually delayed until next year, early next year. But as of the moment, as of right now, it's just part time, which is anywhere between 25 and 30 hours. But a real, not a real engineer, but I guess just in a normal day, 40 hours would be your typical work week. Mhm.
Okay, my next question is, are there many women in this field?
There are actually, and I think it's probably the engineering with that has like one of the best woman to men ratios. Maybe because it also involves some of like the softer sciences like biology and things like that. It's not just like mechanical engineering or civil engineering, where I'm sure that you would see that like big ratio of like men to women. But in biomedical engineering, you can definitely see a good balance. I wouldn't be able to tell you like a specific number, but there's for sure a really good balance. I would say almost 50-50 men and women, at least in my classes that I went to. So yeah, that's a great question.
Um, are you required to travel for this job?
I'm personally not like technically required to travel. So I guess I haven't even told you like my official position title is product development engineer, just like for records. But I'm not technically required to travel, but I have traveled. I could have said no, but obviously I did it. But I've only traveled probably twice. One of them was for like a meeting with surgeons, orthopedic surgeons, and we were showing them our device and we were doing some testing with them. And then the second time I traveled was also to do some testing, but this time it was actually in the middle of the forest because we wanted to do some testing that involved a high altitude environment and that could be achieved in like the mountains in Colorado. What was it, Colorado? No, New Mexico. Sorry, in New Mexico. So yeah, we went to the middle of the forest. There was like no signal, no Wi-Fi, no toilet. But it was fun. It was very interesting, and I had a lot of fun. But yeah, I've only traveled twice, and it really depends on the kind of position that you have. I'm really mostly at the office, But I know if you choose to go into more of a sales representative or like on site, like clinical engineer, then you might travel more. It really depends on the position that you actually have.
Okay, and in your opinion, what are some advantages and disadvantages of your job?
Um, well, I guess of my job, would you say just as a biomedical engineer, or would you say like my specific job right now,
Probably
or both?
specific job.
Okay. So at my specific job right now, and I don't think I've mentioned this to you either, I work at a startup company. So that means, it's just a very small company that someone started. And it's just the CEO, the CTO, and myself. So, yeah, some disadvantages of that is that because it is a startup, there's no like fancy building. I don't have like a nice office. There's no cubicle for me. Maybe there's not that many resources and things like that. But I would say that the advantages of my job is that I get to work closely with the CEO and the CTO of the company, which is really good because they have a lot of years of experience, and it's really good. And also because I am the only employee at the company, it's really good for me because I get to do a lot of things, not just focus on one specific area. So, working at a startup really means being very flexible and just open to learning new skills and things to do. So yeah, it's been really cool that I do not only get to be an engineer, I also get to, work with the founders and learn more about the business side also, and like learn what it takes to start your own medical device company. So I think that's really cool.
Okay, and my last question is I know that you mentioned how COVID um, cut your hours, but how else has it affected you?
It honestly hasn't affected us very much. I mean, in the beginning, we did stop working for 3 weeks, like absolutely no work. But I think the biggest effect that it has had has definitely been just pushing timelines that we had originally. Originally we wanted to do some things at certain dates. Like right now, we're in the process of applying for a 510K submission to the FDA, which is the agency that regulates medical devices. So you need to submit an application when you have a new device so that you can sell it in the market. So originally, we were hoping to have this device approved sometime this year, but obviously, because of all the things happening, it's been pushed back. And also, I would say, as a startup company, you really rely on investors. So right now, people don't really want to, invest their money because it's so uncertain, and yeah, there's just a lot of uncertainty. So that also affects like the startup industry. So I think, yeah, it's mostly been, having dates being pushed back. Other than that, I don't think much has changed, to be honest, because in the office, it's really just me and my boss. So we are like, well, social distant. Like there's like not like a lot of people that we like have contact with or things like that. So it's been very easy to like just stay safe and not have to do any like crazy regulations or anything like that. But yeah, it's mostly been just pushing dates. um, and yeah, obviously for me it has also personally affected me because I just graduated and I wasn't really able to get that full time working position right away, and I'm gonna have to wait till next year. But hopefully, it will be fine.
Okay, that was all the questions that I had.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. And if you guys ever have any more questions, like we're here to answer them. But yeah, and just stay tuned to learn more about biomedical engineering because it certainly is a really good degree. And by the way, like I know I talked about medical devices, but there's like a lot of other things you could do with it. So if you ever have any questions about anything else, like you can always reach out to us.
Okay, I will definitely reach out to you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay. So that was Andrea, and it was awesome to have our first high school student guest here asking our questions. But I also promised other people that we would answer their questions in this live. So I'm just gonna do that really quick. Well, actually, no. You guys are here, so I'm gonna answer your guys' questions first. Okay, so we have the first question, which is the best concentration in BME? Is biomaterial a good concentration? I don't think you could say that there's a best concentration in BME. Honestly, it's just like they're all the same. Like, well, technically, you can really get the same kind of jobs with any concentration. It really doesn't matter. It's just like up to what your interests are and like what you want to see while you're doing your degree. It could definitely give you a little more background knowledge, but honestly, you're not going to learn the real knowledge until you actually start working in the industry. Um, but yeah, I think biomaterials is great. But yeah, it's really up to your interest. Like I said, my concentration is actually biomaterials, cell and tissue engineering, and I ended up doing medical devices. So yeah, it really doesn't like pinhole you anywhere. It's just like a label. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. And then the next question is, oh my gosh, we got this question last time, and like I still don't know how to answer it because I haven't done my research. But it says, are biotechnology and biomedical engineering related? Um, I'm sorry, I don't know much about biotechnology, but they are related. I would say that biotechnology falls under biomedical engineering because biotechnology is really any technology that involves like a living system. Um, but biomedical engineering is you can do like medical devices and things like that, which are not living systems. So as a degree, though, biomedical engineering definitely involves, I think, more engineering and more like math aspects, where like biotechnology, I would assume that it's mostly research based and more like science heavy rather than like engineering. I feel like biotechnology might also be kind of like a branch of biomedical science. So, in just saying that, you can see that yeah, like you said, it's a science degree, more research oriented. So awesome. Um, if a school doesn't offer biotechnology major or a biomedical major, what major would you take? Oh my gosh. Well, if my school didn't offer any of those majors and I was interested in doing the same kind of work that I do now, I think I would definitely do like an engineering, like mechanical engineering, and then just apply to the medical device industry. And that's definitely something you can do. If you're a mechanical engineer out there, you can do biomedical engineering or like medical related um, projects or go to the healthcare technology industry. So yeah, I think I would have definitely done either mechanical engineering. You can also do electrical engineering or computer engineering if you're interested in like learning more about electronics or programming or computer stuff. But apply to the medical branch. You can definitely do that. So yeah. Okay, we have. Oh, that was from Mirna. So thank you for asking that question. Then we have Vicky Villa. What are the alternate majors to BME if the school doesn't offer it? Oh, okay, so it's the same question. Yeah, so I hope that answered your question. It really depends on what you want to do, but I think the safest thing, if you're interested in biomedical engineering, a lot of people actually do mechanical engineering, and sometimes they even offer like concentrations in like the bio field. So yeah, what Evelyn said is actually also a great path to do. Just do a mechanical engineering major and a minor in biology. I think that's great. You want to talk about mechanical? Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I guess just to give an example, I actually know this friend. Well, I guess she's my friend now. We met last year during our internship with a medical device company, that the one I currently work at, and she's a mechanical engineer. Well, she's still a student because she's graduating next year. Um, so anyway, she's a mechanical engineering major, and she's doing a concentration in business. um, but she's really interested in the medical device industry, and she interned last summer and this summer, just like I did. Well, I actually interned starting last summer, and then I just stayed the whole time because I lived in the place where the company is, but she doesn't. So she just had to go back to school. But we had her again this summer, and she's really interested in the medical device industry. And yeah, she's a mechanical engineer with a minor in business, but she's actually thinking of doing a master's in mechanical engineering, but with a concentration in bioengineering. So yeah, you can definitely do that. Um, Let me know if you have more questions. If not, I'm gonna jump to answering other questions that we got. Sorry, my headphone fell. I'm just gonna answer really quickly the questions that we got on Instagram. So someone was asking what the difference between biomedical engineering and medical engineering is, and in parentheses they said medical devices. So they said that they were gonna watch this video later. So if you're watching this right now, I just want to say that I have seen the term medical engineer out, but it's really just the same as biomedical engineering. It's literally the same. But then he put in between parentheses, he said medical devices. So the difference is that medical devices is a branch of biomedical engineering, because biomedical engineering also relates to other things like cell engineering, tissue engineering, pharmaceuticals, neurotechnology, drug delivery, other more like research based branches, and also like pharmaceuticals. So, yeah, it's not all about medical devices, but yeah, medical engineering and biomedical engineering are the same thing. And then he also asked, he said that he wants to do BME, but he's scared about biology, that he's very good at math and physics and engineering, but not that much in biology. So he asked if he should study biomedical engineering if he's not good at biology. This is honestly a very hard question to answer, because I chose biomedical engineering because I really liked biology. I really liked learning about the body and cells and things like that. Um, so, I mean, biology will be a big part of biomedical engineering. And even though not all the classes you take are called biology, they are all like subfields of biology. So I would say that you don't have to be good, because you can always learn and like get better, but you should be able to enjoy learning biology to be a biomedical engineer. But to be honest, right now at my job, I barely use any biology. So, just decide it really doesn't matter. Like you can focus in the area, like you mentioned, of medical devices that you will see more like electronics or mechanical equipment or imaging and things like that, rather than focusing on research and cells and tissues and things like that. So yeah, I hope that answered your question. Thank you for asking. Um, okay, what BME job titles are more in demand beside medical devices? Um, I mean that's kind of a hard question. I don't think I could say that there's a job title in demand. Like, I think, there's different things you can do with a BME degree. It really mostly just depends on the company and how they title their positions because I've been saying this whole time, like I have always said, biomedical engineer is not a title. But then we just talked to an engineer from Medtronic, and his title is biomedical engineer. Where I feel like in other companies, they kind of divide them more as like quality engineer, research and development engineer, product development engineer. So yeah, I don't think there's job titles in demand. But if you are asking more like what's the best industry to go into, honestly, I think medical devices are big, but especially right now, I would say pharmaceuticals are bigger, probably, just because of the whole coronavirus thing. I'm pretty sure that pharma companies are just, thriving. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think we've always heard that like pharma companies are like huge. So I think there's maybe like a good um, job outlook in the pharma industry. So you should definitely check that out. And just going off of this comments, I do want to say that I know I talk a lot about medical devices here because that's what I do, but there's like so many other things you can do like pharmaceuticals, and I promise you guys that we're going to start talking about other things that are not medical devices. So let us know what you're interested in, because we do want to talk about other areas of biomedical engineering, because it's not all about medical devices. So yeah, thank you for your question. Okay, Evelyn also asked, what would you recommend with the pandemic going on and research being closed to only graduate students, how to get some experience in BME field? What's your opinion? Okay, research being closed to only graduate students. I didn't know that. I know there's undergrads doing research, but yeah, I'm assuming that what you're saying is true. You know that, and that kind of makes sense because I guess they're just trying to not have that many people, and they're obviously going to give priority to like grad students. It's definitely tough. Like I can only imagine how hard it must be to try to get experience right now. But I would say that something that can't go wrong is to just like maybe join an organization and do volunteer work and try to hold a position where you can do leadership or things like that. Um, just participating in events like hackathons, medical device makeathons, things like that that you can just add to your resume. Yeah, I think competitions are a great thing that you can do right now. And there's obviously like limitations that they can only be online, but I think that's actually good because you can participate in a competition that's in another part of the world because now it's online. So yeah, other than that, I would also really encourage you to go to conferences. I know the BMES conference is coming up, so I would recommend that, but obviously conferences are very expensive, so obviously not, we cannot always attend one. I only went to one during my whole undergrad career, and it was because I presented my research, and I was able to get funded to travel. But actually, the BMES conference, when I went, the price for registration was $250 because I was a member. But if you sign up to volunteer, they actually reimburse you the price. So you'd only have to pay for travel, which can also be expensive, but um, I was lucky to have my BMES organization at my school actually fund my travel too. So that's why you should, it's good to get involved with organizations sometimes. And but honestly, if you're looking for like internships or a job, I wouldn't really recommend BMES because when I went, it was really mostly about presenting your research and things like that. But I don't know, maybe I just didn't see everything that was going on. Um, but I think more like there's other conferences that are better, like SUI. I know there's actually like companies hiring for interns or jobs. Also, just attending your school career fairs can be good. Just like other than experience, yes, experience is great. But honestly, there's only one thing that's better than experience, and that's networking. And that can be done with like events and luncheons and things like that. So yeah, it's sad that being able to get experience is very limited. But I think networking events are still going on because of virtual meetings and things like that. So just network around. Have your LinkedIn profile, look, search on it every now and then, connect with people, and like not only connect, actually message them if you're interested in something. And yeah, honestly, just network, and you never know what you could find. So yeah, I hope that helps. um okay, Mirna asks, is there a difference between bioengineering and biomedical engineering? Yes, there is, and we actually have a video talking about it, so you should check that out. But just really quick, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't say bioengineering is too vague. It's just it is the broader field, and biomedical engineering is like the subfield. So bioengineering can include things with like agriculture and natural resources. So things that are bio, but not necessarily like human related. But biomedical engineering will always be human related. Well, there's like a sometimes there can be like veterinary research, but it's mostly human related. But to like, if you're asking this question because you're thinking of going into, you have several schools that you want to go into, and you will notice that some of them offer bioengineering and some of them offer biomedical engineering. So um yeah, like schools don't really strictly adhere to their definitions. Schools will really just um just call it bioengineering or biomedical engineering, but you really can do both things with it. And I just got a message from Adrian that he wants to show the video here in the screen, so I guess we'll show it to you guys whenever that's ready. And also, we commented the link on the comments, so you can check out the video there. Um, okay, so sorry, my headphones are falling off. Thank you for taking your time and answering my question. No, thank you for being here and asking your question. That's what we're here for. And I just want to say hi to my sister for joining. Thank you. Okay, I missed this question from Vicky. She said, do a lot of biomedical engineers go to medical school? I wouldn't say a lot, like more than 50%, but definitely a good amount. I would say, well, my class was like 36 people. And I know, well, let's see how many. Maybe like max 5 people went to medical school. So although it is a substantial amount, I wouldn't say like a lot of people go into medical school. But it's definitely something you can do. And um, that I've said this before, that medical schools actually enjoy having engineering students, even mechanical engineers, because um, in an engineering degree, it really teaches you how to think, which is something that they like. So yeah, definitely, think of pursuing that if you'd like. Agent, did you want to play the video? Yeah. Okay. But like, do you want me to keep talking? Well, if you want to pause and add, like on a specific part, oh, well, or I don't know how that's gonna work. Or we could just let the video play on mute. Yeah, sure. Okay, so we're gonna be playing the BME versus BioE video, in case you guys are interested. But in the
We
meantime,
should go into biomedical engineering or
actually,
bioengineering. Hi everyone and welcome to the BME Life. My name is Medi and today we're going to be answering one of our most asked questions, which is what is the difference between biomedical engineering and bioengineering? The short answer really is
what? Well, I don't know what to say. Sorry, guys. It's because Adrian is like controlling me like a puppet from the back. So, yeah, I mean, here's the video on the difference between biomedical engineering and bioengineering. I think you guys should check it out on your own, if you're interested. But yeah, let me know if you have any specific questions. I know I mentioned in the video that really just like their technical difference, but again, that it doesn't really matter which one you choose. Like, schools really use them interchangeably, and like it really doesn't matter. You can do both, like you can end up doing similar things with both. So yeah, but statistically, biomedical engineers do get paid more than um, bioengineers. But I've also noticed, I mean, I'm not too sure about this, but I think I've also noticed that more of the Ivy League schools have bioengineering degrees rather than biomedical. And I think it is because bioengineering probably came first, before biomedical. So I think this is why more of like the prestigious schools offer bioengineering rather than biomedical engineering. But anyway, sorry about that awkward moment right there. Um, Let me know if you guys have any more questions. If not, I'm going to answer some questions that we got through a comment on YouTube. And I think some of these were already answered with our guest, our high school student. Uh, so her questions were, what classes do you recommend taking in high school to prepare for BME? This is always a tough question for me to answer because I went to a very small high school and I didn't have a choice as to what classes I should take. So it is interesting for me to get these questions and realize that in, I guess, bigger schools, you actually get to choose what classes you want to take. Um, but I would say, when it comes to your math, definitely take your calculus up to whatever calculus you can take. Take your biology, physics, maybe anatomy could help a little bit, but honestly, it's not necessary. But yeah, those are good classes to take. And then your chemistry as well. What made you want to become a BME? Kind of already answered this in the beginning. Is a coursework challenging or manageable? It's definitely challenging. Like, you do have to put, hard work and dedication, but it's not impossible. Like, it is manageable. I you do have to do some sacrifice sometimes of like giving up a a night of like watching a movie and having to study and things like that. I definitely did have some days where I just felt sad because I had to study or do homework when I wanted to do something else. There were definitely times where I was with family and they needed to go or they wanted to go somewhere to have fun and I couldn't do it. Um, so there's definitely a lot of that, but it's also not like you're studying 24/7 either. So, yeah, I think it's very manageable, but it does require a lot of hard work and dedication. Just to continue on with these questions, let's see the next one. What are the different fields you can go into BME with a BME degree? We have a video on this. It's called the BME Career Paths, but there's basically medical devices, pharmaceuticals, academia, and then there's all like the subfields of like newer technology, biomaterials, things like that. Um, there's also law. You can work in like the FDA or like the regulatory affairs, um, like patent law, things like that. You can also go for other industries that are not necessarily bio focused, but do have like bio or like human technology departments, like Apple. Apple does take biomedical engineers because of their Apple watch now has a literal medical device incorporated in it. If you guys didn't know it, Johnson and Johnson actually worked with Apple to create their Apple Watch. So it's really cool. And there's also NASA that does also biomedical research because when going to Mars, how are you gonna sustain life in outer space? So NASA is another great example. You can also go into the food industry, makeup industry, and so on. There's really a lot of things you can do with Mimi. Okay. Um. Okay. Well, the last question is kind of very broad, so I'm just gonna leave it for the end and answer the questions that we have right now. Okay, so Mohammed asked, "How about healthcare service engineer?" I've actually never heard of this engineering, but healthcare service engineer sounds like clinical engineering, which is when you go to the hospital and work there, maybe do equipment on devices, or maybe just work with physicians on medical devices and just making sure that everything works appropriately. Yeah, I think you can definitely do that. There's also in the clinical engineering like field, there's also like logistics of like hospital logistics of like making sure that everything's okay and everyone has their equipment and things like that. I'm honestly not very sure about those fields, but I hope that helps a little bit. Um, okay, next question is, I am planning to pursue master's in biomed with a minor in health service administration. Which of the two following fields would have a good job demand? Um, so of the two fields, do you mean biomedical or health service administration? Or what's the exact two fields? Um, but anyway, I guess I'm not sure what health service administration really is. I'm guessing just work for like health tech or healthcare related companies and just know how to administer. I sorry, I don't really know much about that area. But I'll definitely do some research and let you guys know if I find anything. You can also message us on Instagram.
10 people watching. Woo!
Oh, awesome. Thank you all for being here and watching. Let me know if you have more questions. I obviously, sorry, I don't know the answer to everything, but if I do, I will do my best to answer and help you guys. But I'm also still learning, like I just graduated from BME, so yeah, I'm trying to catch up with everyone and their questions. Um, so if there's not any more questions, let me know. But I'm just going to answer the last question from this YouTube comment that says, "Can you describe your overall experience of studying to become a biomedical engineering, positives and negatives?" So I think, sorry, I think I kind of already touched on this. I think the negatives is definitely, having to sacrifice your time and uh, just choosing to commit to this degree that is challenging and demanding, um, and not necessarily like the bestest salary ever. Um, so, the negative is definitely just like, in school, maybe being discouraged from time to time because it's hard, because it takes time, whatever. It can be discouraging. But at the end of the day, I think it's really rewarding to, pass your classes and realize that you've learned so much and that you can apply this knowledge to really do great things. I think that's awesome. So, yeah, and I think my main positive experiences from my undergrad career were definitely getting, research experience, internship experience, networking, participating in the medical device makeathon. Like all those experiences are really good, and I would encourage everyone to go outside just taking your classes. Like your classes, obviously, you have to do good in your undergrad career or like your school, but honestly, like you have to make time to do other things, just because it really shows your passion and your interest, and it really just opens more doors than your GPA will ever open. So yeah, just get involved in whatever way you can, um, and you'll be, just get experience, get involved, do your research. Yeah, hope that helps. Um, okay. How much expected salary with 5 years of experience? Okay, so it is a hard question because it definitely depends on like the company that you work for. It also really depends on the location that you're in. Um, but let's just say like let's have a baseline of like let's say 60K is the or $60,000 is the entry level salary for a biomedical engineer in San Antonio, Texas. Let's just say. Um, then 5 years should definitely take you up to 70 or maybe closer to 80, depending on um, how well you do. It also really depends on what kind of degree you have. If you have a master's or a PhD, that might bump up your salary. I know people with 5 or less years of experience that have a master's and can make up to 100K. Like you never know. It really depends on the company and like the location. And that's something to really have in mind, to consider location and the cost of living there, because don't be fooled by seeing a position that offers 100K, but then you realize it's in New York or LA where it's like super expensive to live, and it's like, well, your money's is like it really doesn't add up. So I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't, it's just an example. But yeah, just be aware of the cost of living when thinking of salaries. But yeah, I hope that helps. um is there an entry level position that will best prepare students for BME career? Thank you guys for hosting these live Q&As. Thank you for joining and asking your question. Is there an entry level position that will best prepare students for the BME career? I mean, there's not like a specific position that I think would be best. I think usually as an entry level engineer, honestly, your position will be engineer one, and then you just go from there. Like you'll see what kind of department you like and things like that. But I personally really like my position, which is product development. Oh my gosh, which is product development, because in product development you really get to see different areas, like because the medical at least the medical device industry, it's kind of like broken up into like research and development, quality, manufacturing, operations, sales, things like that. Um, and as a product development engineer, you kind of like you're an interdisciplinary engineer that kind of do all those things at once. So I think that has been a great position for me because like it has really like shown me a lot of different aspects of the medical device industry, and I think it has helped me learn a lot and not just focus in one area. But honestly, when you graduate, it's kind of really about what kind of job can you get. Is it in R&D? Is it in quality? It also really depends on the internship experience that you had. Like if you had an internship as a quality engineer, then you'll most likely um, do your entry level position as a quality engineer. So, yeah, I personally really like product development, but I would say do whatever you can find and that you enjoy. But yeah, I think there's also like some companies have rotational programs, or as an entry level, you really just start as a baseline engineer so that you don't get thrown into a very specific department, but more like learn about different things and really know what your interests are. But honestly, even when you're in the industry, like you're still learning, and you'll see what you like and what you don't, and then maybe you'll decide to do a master's in something else. Like it's all about playing it by ear, I think, and really just listening to yourself and what your interests are. Sorry, I think I deviated from the question, but I hope that helps. And the next question, which is our last one right now, let me know if there's any other question because we're about to leave. But is what is the biomedical field with more science research? Honestly, I think it's probably either cell and tissue engineering or maybe biomaterials or like neurotechnology, bio nanotechnology, um, things like that. Like honestly, anything but medical devices is very heavy on research, which is really cool. While I was an undergraduate, I did research in a tissue engineering lab, which I really enjoyed because I got to work with cells and grow cells in a cell culture lab and just grow them. And they're like your little pets, and because they're like living things. So it was really cool. My research was actually about trying to grow vessel networks in these well plates. So we would use two different kinds of cells and other factors that would stimulate them to create vessel networks. So it's really fun, and at my school, I know other people did research in like um, drug delivery and things like that. So yeah, I think tissue engineering, cell engineering, uh, neurotechnology, nanotechnology are really like research heavy. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Um, Well, I think those are the only questions for today. I don't think we have any other questions. But yeah, it's been an hour, so I think it just works perfectly. And just before we leave, we just want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for joining and asking your questions. Again, I'm so sorry that I don't know all the answers. And just because I gave you an answer doesn't mean that mine is the only answer and that everyone else is wrong. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just wanted to let everyone know that, I know or I answer questions from my experience, but because BME is so broad, there's really a lot of things you can do with it, and someone else might have a different answer than me. So, anyway, we just try to help you guys as much as we can, and we're always glad to talk to you guys. And we're really trying to do these Q&As live now just so we can answer more in depth, um, and really just talk to you guys. Like if you want to talk about anything else, like feel free. Like I'm down to talk about my favorite pizza place if you guys want. But anyway, if you're also interested in joining our live Q&A, to actually being on video and like being able to talk and get to know each other and ask your questions, please email us at the email shown here, which is Mary at the BME Life. You can email us and request to be a guest if you'd like, just like we had one today. We can talk about anything you want, whether it's questions or a specific subject. Let us know. We'd love to have you. You don't have to be a pro. I'm not a pro. So, yeah, just let us know. Email us if you want to say hi or if you want to join our next Q&A. Also, if you're interested in Among Us, which we have said for like 2 weeks now, but we are thinking of doing a gameplay. And I know we have like 3 people or 4 written down that they've said we want to play. So we have a list of like, or like 10 spaces, and like they're filling up. So if you are interested, let us know, or any other game. Adrian and I also like playing Fortnite, so I'm just gonna throw it out there. But anyway, that's a long outro. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for being here, asking questions, and just being so awesome. And we hope to see you next time, next week during our live. And in the meantime, you can drop your questions in the YouTube comments, on Instagram, wherever you like. Alexa, Among Us, be there or be square. Yes. Okay, guys. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Friday, or if you're somewhere else, the rest of whatever day you're on. Okay, we'll see you. Bye.